Okay, perfect. The minutes from the previous meeting, like a motion to approve that, if everybody's had a chance to read those.
Yeah, I could make a motion to approve those as presented.
Dave Wiegand made the motion.
I'll second that.
Oh, is that you, Michael?
Yes, sir.
Michael, okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 The minutes are approved. Thank you. We'll now move to the public comments. I don't see any public. I didn't have any emails. Does anybody have any comments from the public that were given to them or emailed to them?
No correspondence.
I have not.
We'll close public comment and move on to unfinished business. 6A, the ice rink roof discussion. Pete, you asked that this be re-added in and that we maintain kind of an eye on this. Do you want to say anything?
No, I just didn't want it to get lost. You know, keep it out in the vision of everybody so they understand it. And so just don't go quiet on us. I just want to know where we stand on it and stuff like that.
Just a suggestion for the committee. I don't know that it would hurt anything. I mean, we have a concept. It's been approved, I believe, by the rec committee and the planning commission, and it was forwarded to the board for their information. I'm wondering if it would be helpful to get some cost estimates associated with this, or where would you like to go with that?
I like that idea.
We did,
Did David have any cost?
yeah, a few years ago, we talked about this and Dave had some costs, but that may have been the ice, the easy ice we were going to put in. Maybe it wasn't the roof.
No,
Well-
that was a real swag on the cost of that. So we really should get something a little more formal than that.
Dave, do you have anybody in mind that you would recommend for a structure? I mean, are we talking Scandia Truss or a roofing company?
I would get some costs out there from a couple generals or something. I wouldn't get it from just Scandia Trust because there's a lot more involved than that. I'd get a cost on the whole project or get some kind of an idea. And I would think who did the concept drawing for us?
Sarah Kirk. She lives downstate.
Okay. I would think that maybe she could put some cost to that, or I don't know if she'd get involved in that.
Yeah, I can check in with her. That's a good comment.
Because you're not looking to put out an RFP or anything. You're just looking to get some idea what it's going to cost us, so we know how much money we gotta look for grants for, right?
Yes, sir.
What about somebody local like a Klausner or somebody that does that type of work?
Well, see, then you're asking for somebody to put a bid on something that we don't have any intentions of doing right now, and that annoys them more than anything. I think the first place to go is to get the engineer that put that together. They can put some costs on it. And I would just leave it stand there for now because all that is an idea of what kind of grant funds you're looking for. And when you that lets you know what you need for matching funds and all that. And that's the place where you kick it off. And after you've got some of that secured or an idea of where you're going to come from, then you would put an RFP out, and that would have to be approved by the board to go out for bids. And that you would get more particular costs on it. But contractors, we went on that a number of years ago when we were doing the township hall. They did a number of bids before that, and then it came back and everybody was getting upset because we kept getting bids on stuff and we never did it.
Yeah, kept kicking the can down the road. That makes a lot of sense.
And they were, what we were experienced then is there was people that wouldn't put bids in anymore because they knew we weren't going to do it anyway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, you said you'd be able to check with her and try to see if we can get an estimate then?
Yeah, I'll touch base there, see if she can at least put some quantities to it. Something, like Dave said, a ballpark.
Yeah, I think what she does is she just puts square footage prices on it.
Okay.
Then you'll just get a one number based on square footage, and that would be where I'd start with it anyway.
Well, I feel like that moves us forward a little bit rather than just kicking the can to the next meeting. Pete, did you have any other comments? This is kind of what you were looking for, right? For us to,
I just wanted to keep it active and get it in the public eye so they don't forget about it. And, and Dave's right, once you get some figures out there, then you can go out for bidding, because there might be some changes that you might want to make, And you can always have Scandia Trust come in if that's a contractor, you're going to use him, but it might be other ones out there too. So, well, we'd like to use local, but that's up to the contractor who's going to build it.
thanks, Pete. Michael, any thoughts before we move on?
I don't have any additional.
Okay. Let's, without objection, let's move on. 6B, the patio rain runoff creating dropping ground level. Pete, did you want to talk about that first?
Yeah, you got, as the rain comes off the side, both edges and the east and the west, there's a hump over there. I was over there the other day and I was walking towards the restroom, the warming shed there, and all it's at the ground, and all of a sudden it drops down. So I would think of some patio blocks about 3 feet by 10 feet on each side of the concrete, or concrete more, put more concrete, whatever is the most cheapest. But there is a dip in there, and if you're not watching, might fall down and land on the concrete or hit your head or something like that. That's pretty much on both sides, but on the west side is more predominant, the bigger slope in there. The other thing is on the bottom of the column on the north side, the plastic siding is busted. If we can't replace both ends on the bottom, maybe we might want to consider some cedar. I'd ask David about that, about his recommendations for maybe a piece of cedar to go around the bottom. I don't know if they're kicking it with their skate or what, but it's the column right by the ice rink there, by the wall there. So I don't know. It just, but I measured it, and I think it was 3 feet by 10 feet on both sides.
Would gravel work in there if we added several inches of gravel, or would you want something more, like you said, paver?
I would ask David. He's more of a contractor man than I am, but I was just looking at the easiest way. But gravel is too. But would it run off and stuff like that? That's what I was thinking about.
If I could offer a suggestion, guys, the problem with that is the water coming off there is actually splashing the dirt out of there. It's getting up on the siding and everything else.
Right.
If you took some 3/8 pea gravel, not regular, it's just a 3/8 stone, and you put it in there and just leveled it up with that, the splash, number one, and it won't wash out when the rain's coming down and hitting it.
Well, that'd be a good thing. Would you put say a timber on the edge, Dave, to keep the in between the sod, the grass, and the concrete?
No, I would just fill the depression in with the 3/8 pea stone.
Okay.
Just so it levels the walking surface out, and when the water comes off the roof edge, it's got something to hit and make it that it's not making mud out of.
Okay.
And then with those posts, I actually saw a guy kicking gates one day, and it's just something they do, I would think the next time you go after that, that's cement block underneath that.
And then
I would think the best way to go at that would be to put some actual stone on there. You can do the stuff like you do on a fireplace.
Yeah.
Where you put some mud on and it's about 2 inches thick and you stick it right to it.
That'd be good.
That would keep them from breaking it all apart like that.
We wrap it with some rubber belt or something.
Well, you could, except that looks pretty tacky.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I would do would probably replace that plastic thing for right now. And if it happens again, come up with about an 8-inch piece of cedar and just go around the bottom and bevel it into the column. That's the only thing.
Do we need to get approval from the board to do something like that, to add the gravel and replace?
No, we just
plastic?
turn it over to the board, and the board will make sure it gets done. I mean, manager.
The gravel is a pretty cheap fix.
It's a cheap
I would
fix,
think.
right.
I would think what would end up happening is, rather than hire somebody to do that, you would get the grounds guys with that dump truck they got to go get a bucket of
Right.
half a yard of that 3/8 pea stone and just take it over there and spread it out. I mean, it's not a big high cost item there.
I wouldn't bid that out. That their responsibility for the upkeep. And so they'll do a great job on that. And then if they got it out into the drive parking spot there, just dump it out there.
So is this something we could just ask Jason to follow up on, or is it something that we have to actually present to the board?
No, it's
No,
something
we
that
can just
turn over to the manager.
make the manager aware of it and he can delegate it out.
Okay.
Yep.
So Jason, would you take that on then? Talk to the manager for us?
Yeah, and this is coming off, just so we're clear, the warming building, right?
Right.
Right. East and west sides.
The west side is the worst side. Like David said, the mud starts coming up and splashing.
Okay,
And the other thing, if you're going to do it, the rope on the handle for opening the gate from if you're inside the rink, I put a new rope on it today because the other day when we were up there, I was inside of it with my granddaughter. I went to get out and I couldn't get out. Somebody locked it. The rope was busted, so I put a longer rope on it. Probably not the one they want on. They usually use the rope they use on lawnmowers and that. But at least we have a rope on there that can open a gate from the inside the rink.
Well, Pete, thank you for bringing those two items to our attention. Looks like we're going to get some movement on both of them. So that's really a positive thing. Without objection, let's move on to item 6C. Follow up on the recreation millage. That got passed, and I think I just would ask Jason real quick to just give us a quick update, or if anybody has any comments or suggestions or discussion points.
yeah, I'm sure the board will decide to, how to administer it, but I just wanted to thank the rec committee for their insight and put together the informational piece that was used as more of a fact-finding event for residents. And that was supported with 67% of voters voting in that millage. So hopefully we'll do a good job with it. And if need be, and if available, we can extend it and utilize it. Otherwise, we're just going to try to keep and maintain, like you said, what we have for the next couple of years. But yeah, pretty proud when a millage gets supported that heavily.
The first year that's going to return is $138,036. So it is good. But what happens is they voted in because they know we're going to do a good job on anything we do as far as recreation and that. So they're pretty positive people.
Hey, Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah, just correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but those monies will actually not be collected until a year from December's taxes.
Right.
So you won't everybody won't get that on their bill until December 31st of 2021.
So part of this was to put a third person back on for maintenance. So we got to wait until then to put a third person back on. Is that correct?
No, I don't think so. I think what they're doing is that just as long as the money is there, that's all they need to do is be able to balance the book. So if the money's there, then they just move ahead with it. But it wasn't specifically put
we won't
per
pay the
person.
person until next year.
Yeah, until December of 2021.
Okay.
My internet's pretty weak. I'm hearing the audio, but the video's fairly frozen. So if I miss something, just if I don't hear you or I miss something, just remind me or speak up.
It's just it was that 6C was more of informational.
Okay. So I just the last comment I have on that is that we all worked on that together. Dave made some really good suggestions there at the end, and Jason, you did a fantastic job putting together that slideshow. But I wanted to thank everybody because we all had input on that. That worked out really well. So I appreciate everybody's efforts. 6D.
Don,
Yes.
I got a question for Dave. Dave, should those picnic tables be put up on an angle a little bit? So the water melts and runs off?
Didn't really bother them because because of the materials, so
I know that, but I'm just saying,
don't bother them at all.
all right, good.
Cycloplastic, baby.
Probably got a 50-year half-life.
All right, I just had to ask a question. I knew the answer, but I just had to ask the question.
Okay, item 6D, the committee vacancies discussion.
Yeah, I asked this to be on there. I have one person who I'm going to recommend for the rec committee, Tom Feary. He has accepted. I need to get him an application and then get that to Supervisor Durant for her consideration. But I think Tom would be great. He recreates quite a bit, and he's got a young family, lives just off of Ontario, and has been in the township now for a few years. So I told him when there was something up that I was going to recruit him, and hopefully he'll follow through on everything. But I think he'd provide a good voice for the committee and for young folks, having 2 young children himself or younger children himself. So
What's his listen?
say again.
What's his last name?
Fury, F-U-R-E.
Okay.
Now you need 2 more?
Yeah, we'll work on that. I guess the other part of the agenda item is to, if you have anybody that that might want to be a part of this, please let staff or, somebody know.
There should be one person coming in as a board rep, so the board should be appointing somebody.
I have 1 more year, so unless I'm kicked off, I'll be here 1 more year. So we really, if Mr. Fuhr does, and we get a board member, we just need 1 other person. Is that correct?
2.
2, yeah. We're losing Pete, Mike, and Dave.
If we get the gentleman you talked to and we get the board member representative, somebody from the board, then we need to just find 1 other person.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's good news because I didn't want to be the sole survivor. Pete, I was just curious, the governor's come out with another stay-at-home order that's going to last 3 weeks, maybe longer, we don't know. But I thought maybe you could give us an update from the activities committee. Tell us
Where we are today.
activities.
Today, they're going to have the meeting tomorrow. Todd's going to have a little meeting. He's going to meet with, I believe, John and Bill. We got the Santa Claus suit already. He's got that. I brought one over to him today. And it's going to fit him better. The way we're not going to do what we planned on doing because we just can't. And so we're going back to what I asked about in the beginning of the thing, because do a roundabout or whatever you want to call it, would have Santa Claus up there, a little bit of singing, turn the lights on, and then the Grinch will be there. And then we'll have the people come by. We got candy canes, and they'll just take up their car. It'll be announced that they take the car and they'll drive up by Applebee's there, go across by the Christmas tree and out behind Verizon. And then the kids can grab a candy cane. I think we got a couple hundred of them. I don't know how many. We should probably wipe them all off and then have somebody hand them with a glove on, or put it on a table and they can take it out of the box or whatever themselves. So I always call them a beer box, but it's a square, shallow box. You can put them in there and just hand them out there and they can grab one. We'll decide that as of tomorrow, decide better what we can do, but we are going to have it. We're going to change the advertising on it and get on the radio and do that changing. People have to have a mask while they're coming up around. Santa Claus will be set back, and that's going to be it so far. As of today, that's the plan, but there's going to be another meeting tomorrow. He's going to meet with Bill and Todd and them, so see what we can do in the mall manager.
Well,
And-
Pete, I'll give you just
and
my
that's-
2 cents. I really feel that putting this activity together is probably more important now than in years past. I think I would like to see it well attended, and I actually think it would be, because people need right now more than ever to have an excuse to get outside the house and enjoy life a little bit. So I appreciate the efforts that you're putting into this.
Well, I said in the beginning, if we can't do it, we have to find a way of doing it. I mean, personally, we give up the Easter egg hunt, we give up the Halloween party, and I just didn't want to give up the Santa Claus, for the kids, because they're only that age once, and we shouldn't take everything away. We got to find a way to be safe, but their safety is the most important thing of the parents and stuff like that. So that's what we have to take in consideration. If there's a danger there, we skip it, and we can probably do something in the summertime over at the Lions Field, maybe a little barbecue, or I don't know, I'd come up with something.
Well, I agree with you, Pete, and I thank you.
And that's 1 week from tonight, correct, Pete?
Yes. Now, I'll let you all know
Okay.
more about it tomorrow, after they meet. They're gonna work out the details. Because they're gonna talk to the governor.
Very
The
good.
governor's supposed to come on, Wednesday night again, tomorrow night? She's supposed to come on again and talk about it, so.
Okay. Let's move to new business, item 7A. Michael, can you report on what you found out from the winter cities?
Yes, I can. And,
You can share your screen, Mike,
fortunately,
if you want.
I'm sorry.
You can share your screen if you have anything that you want to display.
I do, and that's what I want to do here in just a minute. But let's see if I can do that. See, I've got this. Got two screens here. Let's try share screen. And here it is. All right. Now, first of all, I don't know how legal this is, or even ethical, but when I take notes, I take them with screenshots. So I attended this particular one, which Patrick Coleman from up around Houghton. He used to work in Marquette. He's worked with our township in the past. He was one of the two presenters for this Winter Cities.
Michael, can
Yes,
I
sir.
interrupt?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, my screen's been frozen for about 15 minutes. I can hear, but I can't see. I'm going to just drop out of the meeting and try to come back in. So I'm just going to be a few seconds here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about
Are other people able to see this?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So anyway, so I participated in this, and what I did is I took screenshots of this. I'm just going to go through real quick. One of the things I did get hold of Patrick, and he said it would cost $100 to do the presentation to the board. This might not be the time to do it, although it might be an ideal time to do it too, because of all the people that need to get outside and during the COVID crisis. But he went through the history of the winter cities movement. I believe Marquette city is considered a winter city. Of course, all the stuff about, people not liking winter. And of course, here's a problem that our maintenance department has. But, fighting places where to put this. But, he talked about attitudes and different things that you can do. I'm just running through this thing. Talked about, snowfall and where the winter cities are, average amount of snowfall and the severity index, different places, and how you can maybe make your park, like let's say Lions Field or different area, more attractive and kind of inviting. It goes through all the different types of infrastructure and designs where you can make these parks, and how do you block things from the wind, and how do you utilize the sun, the angle of the sun, to warm up different spaces. Here's a little area that they made a three-sided facing the sun, a little spot outdoors for people to, I guess, gather. But yeah, these are just photos. This was a photo I liked. I thought this is great. If we had a place like this where people can get out and all we got to do is plow a path. And again, outdoor activities, whatever we can do to get people to enjoy the outdoors, especially during this time, is a good idea. So I'm just running through these, give you some images, see how things are designed that can improve. I think this is downtown Marquette, looks like to me.
Yep.
And of course, fat tire biking or snow biking is getting more popular. They're even talking about how can you redesign streets. This doesn't just apply to the also, during the summer. So talking about retrofitting different places and actually just, paint nice to play certain games. He goes into detail on this stuff, and I'm not about to do that. So here's Patrick Coleman and just some ideas, some images of what we might consider in the future for our parks or someplace to make it more winter-proof and more palatable to be outdoors during the cold. So I hope I didn't break any rules with that. I was hoping because we're a nonprofit and it's for an educational purpose that I'm not gonna get sued. Anyways.
How do you find that, Mike? How do you find that presentation there?
That was the map
Well,
conference.
you would have to get a hold of Patrick. Yes, I attended the MAP conference and I did it on my iPad. So every time he went to a different screen, I just took a screenshot and then I just put them together in order, Keynote, and made it into a PDF. So, but I don't want to, I don't want to usurp his presentation. It's his. He put it together, a lot of time, effort. He has a company. It's north of 45. And so I guess I just want to whet appetites for it. And maybe if you see something here that the board or the planning commission could use, then there's a resource out there. But we'll to Patrick for that.
Well, thank you, Michael, for sharing that
Okay.
information and whetting our appetites. It's always, that's one thing about you I appreciate. You're always involved and always bringing things that are useful. So thank you for taking the time. Anybody have any questions for Michael?
I just want to say this, if this opportunity comes up, especially for planners or anybody that's interested in the welfare of the community, when you get an opportunity, I like the virtual stuff. I didn't have to drive down to Lansing. I didn't have to sleep in a different room. I didn't have to eat out, that kind of stuff. And so it was really a nice way to attend a conference. And the other beautiful thing about it was that a lot of these things, you could pick the time that you wanted to see it, even though Patrick, I think, was supposed to be on at 9 o'clock on Friday morning. I was able to observe his at a different time that worked out better for me. Same thing with Jason's presentation with the Mach 2 Sustainable Health and Climate Adaptation Projects. That I was able to watch at a different time. And I think it was like 4 o'clock on Thursday. But so it's a real nice way, sit back, relax, enjoy the presentation. So take advantage of those opportunities. I want to thank the planning department for paying for my attendance to that. That's it.
Thank you very much. Let's move on then to B, winter maintenance plan for parks and pathways. I know Ryan's put out a few maps for us. Michael, you're the one that wanted to add this to the agenda. Did you want to make some comments and then we'll turn to Ryan?
Well, we also, the reason I'm doing this is just because it's the follow-up on winter cities. And yes, Ryan sent us one, and also Mr. McCarthy, Jason sent us one, I think just was it today, Jason? But so I guess the main thing was, you know, the importance, especially this year, of people being able to get out and walk. And, you know, I don't know what we do at Lions Field, but yeah, I know we put in a pathway around that. Is that something that we can blow snow off of? Would that work? I know it's gravel or it's a crushed limestone, so that may be an issue. But, you know, certainly any place that we can make it easier for pedestrians, bicyclists, to get outdoors and walk, I think we should be looking at that seriously this year.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, Ryan put these maps together. We kind of collaborated on the non-motorized pathway map, which is probably secondary to this. So this was put together between Ryan and Andrew, I believe. And I believe there is the ability to remove snow from Lions Field pathway, or at least have a pathway through there. I would just suggest that there may be some kind of hierarchy in the responsibility of maintenance. And I'm sure that the pathways themselves would be first, and then as available, we could, you know, maintain the Lions Field portion, or even in the Schwemmwood. So we'll see how well that new piece of equipment does for us, but I would imagine there'll be some priorities established. But this is a good start for us, and hopefully we can add some green to this in the next few years here.
Andy did say that they were going to plan on doing the path at Lions Field from Summit to Cherry too. I didn't think about the fact that it's kind of a gravelly path, but they do plan on clearing it one way or another. Like Jason said, I don't know, you know, how high up that's going to be on their list to be maintaining throughout the winter time, but every other pathway here on this map is what they intend to clear and keep clear throughout the winter time. Yeah.
There's only a few windows on the warming house.
Yeah, windows can be replaced.
And the kids, they typically just bounce right off the kids. So
Kids can be
I'll be good
replaced
there.
here.
children
Great.
are a renewable resource.
What's the red there proposed?
So this isn't, yeah, this is our next map that we were going to discuss. And I don't know if the planning commission ordered this up, but just for my reference, I needed to see something that showed, you know, what we have established, what we'd like to complete for complete streets, and then, you know, where we're at. So for instance, oh, where'd it go? Yeah, there you go. So we have, you know, the underpass, that pathway, and then along US 41 on the north side, you see the possibility of the TAP grant. You know, that could be very likely green by next year. But without that being awarded yet, I didn't want to have that being a completed section. And then, of course, the DDA is working on the section from Commerce up to Warner. And, you know, maybe someday on Moran, if we ever take care of that natural spring, we could put a pathway on the south side of that, or the north side, I guess. And then, you know, the Ontario Street project on the north, you know, this next year it's going to go up to Center Street, and that's kind of the third, if you will, of that project. And that's a Fed Aid project. That's a Fed Aid road. And so the road commission is actually tackling that as they have the funds to do so. So in 2021, that portion from Fair to Center will be completed. And then we just have one more segment, and that'll effectively get us to the North Trails of NTN there across the street by the BLP. So you start to see, you know, in a matter, and something that I'm very proud of, I'm sure Mr. Springer and the rec committee as a whole should be proud of, is, I guess, the amount of green that we've created in what I would consider to be a fairly condensed time frame. So thanks to, you know, first of all, our funding agencies and donors, but secondly, to the rec committee to have the foresight to put some of these projects out there. But yeah, it's a pretty impressive map so far, and we're going to keep plugging away at it. So this is just something that we can look at and reference from time to time. And Ryan's got a nice MXD file started now, I'm sure, on the GIS, and with some nice symbology. And we can, put this in the hopper, and when we make changes to it, or when projects come to fruition, we can amend this map, and it'll be something that we have to reference.
Hey, Todd,
Go ahead, Pete.
I'm going to ask David a question. David, what do you think would be the possibilities of the county hitting like Warner Street, Venture Avenue there, Venture Street there, with their wing plow? Does that wing plow come up? I'm wondering.
Yeah, what do you mean, does it come up, Pete?
Can that wing plow come up, say about 6 inches, so that wing plow could take
Yes.
care of the
Yes,
side,
it can.
the walkways?
It can. They actually use that wing plow to push back the piles along the shoulder of the road. So it does come up a little bit, about a
That-
foot, I guess, off the ground.
If we could have a cooperation with them to take care of like Warner Street, Venture, because the hydrant's on the other side on Venture. So if they could bring that thing up and they could clear that out, so it'd make it a little easier for our plow. There's a couple of other streets out there that I was gonna bring it up to the road committee, but we the last ones, but I just wonder what do you think about cooperation between the county and us and clean out that with the wing plow when they're going plowing back there?
If the public works could replace the hydrants they rip out, we're
Oh,
probably,
no hydrants on Warner, on Venture. And then also on Warner Street, the hydrants are set back a little bit. If they could
yeah,
just,
I mean, I don't know. That would be a county deal, and I don't know if all their plows have the wing plows on them or
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
what
Or
they
they-
use in Trowbridge. I just don't know.
All right. I think I'll just I'll call and ask them up there. Just kind of curious if they do it or not. But
Thanks,
that
Pete.
would help us out too.
All right, let's move on. Item 8, we'll do 8A board report.
The board report from the November 4th board meeting, there was a number of action items. One was a board approved supervisor, treasurer, clerk, and trustee salary increases of 2.5%. Those are effective January 1st of this 2021. And then the board did have a discussion. We're going to have a vacant trustee position effective November 21st. And legal is doing some work on that to see exactly the criteria for filling that vacancy. We're going to talk about that at the meeting right after tonight's rec. And then the board passed a resolution allowing virtual meetings for all the township boards, commissions, and committees through 2021 with certain conditions, and the pandemic is one of those certain conditions. So we can conduct virtual meetings as long as that's in play. And then they approved 2 recycling grants for the purchase of 64-gallon recycling carts for distribution to the residents. That's going to take place sometime in May. There's more information will be out a little closer to distribution time for that. And the board approved development of a road rehabilitation RFP by staff based on the road committee's recommendations for the 2021 project. And finally, the board purchased and installation of electronic entry system at the township offices. And initially, the entry system will simply be at the outside entrance on the south side of the building off the employee parking lot. And the other electronic entrance will be at the door next to Andra's desk. After you walk inside the double door is the door that goes into the office proper. Those will both have electronic controls on them. And the nice thing about
I'll need a key card assigned right away.
the nice thing about the system they are installing is they can add the rest of those doors to it as they want to. And that's it for the board.
The city installed key cards and door locks a couple years ago, and it's worked out very well. I think people feel more secure in today's times, and it's pretty easy to get in and out, and you're not fumbling around with keys. So I think overall the township will be really pleased with what they are doing.
Well, they're only coming after the zoning administrators, so you guys have nothing to worry about.
We'll leave them in.
True enough. Well, we'll be pulling for you from our houses, Jason.
Let's open for retina recognition.
Thanks for the report, Dave.
Yep.
Let's go on to the planning commission report.
We had a meeting Wednesday, November the 11th, and we passed the zoning text amendment on to its 30-day review. Actually, we did more, I believe, Jason. But we addressed that about definitions and principal uses concerning marijuana, medical marijuana, and adult use recreation marijuana. And we also discussed a text amendment permitting mobile food trucks. And again, providing Marquette County Planning Commission review are available at that time. We didn't have that time. We also discussed a draft medical and adult use recreation marijuana board ordinance. And finally, I believe Mr. Dietrichson gave us a report on the Eagle non-point source grant application. And the other two nice presents that we got in our packet, color hardbound copy of our master plan, and also the sustainable build, the mock A2 final project report. Those are very nice to have. So thanks to the planning staff for putting that together for the commission. Dave, do you have anything I missed or you want to add?
No, just remind everybody that that's the only planning commission meeting this month. The next one is scheduled for December 9th, where those issues we all have taken up again.
Michael, are you going to be there at the December 9th? Is that going to be your last planning commission?
That will be, yes, December 9th will be my last commission meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for all your work on that committee too. You kept yourself busy. I know you're going to keep busy in the township, but thank you.
You bet.
Let's move on to zoning and planning report. Oh no, I skipped Dave. I skipped the road committee. Sorry, Dave.
Nothing to report on the road committee. We canceled that December 1st meeting. I'm sorry.
He had all that stuff to talk about, but he got it out in this meeting, so we're good.
Yeah, the next November 4th meeting was canceled, and the next one's scheduled for December 1st.
Okay. Thanks. Jason, zoning and planning report.
Well, we've got a myriad of things going on. Most notably on my desk this week has been the mock A2 mini grant application. And I've started meeting with property owners along with Ben Kerrigan from MDOT regarding the 2021 project and potentially affected property owners for access management improvements. So Ben and I started going around today after scheduling some meetings with property owners, and we brought along basically a plan, the plan set over the aerial to show potential driveway closures, consolidations. Fry Chevrolet will likely be getting a deceleration lane, things like that. So we just want to make sure that we've touched base with those folks. They're aware of what's going on. And it's kind of a courtesy on MDOT's part because it's their right away. They can really do what they want. But I do feel that it works out well this way. We did this with the 2019 project as well, and it worked out very well. So that'll be the bulk of my workload this week. And I know Ryan's, I've been reading his emails and reviewing his correspondence, and he's been quite busy himself. So
great. Ryan, did you want to add something?
Busy with closing out in our grants for Swimwood and Lions Field, getting together with Jason and Lois on sending the DNR the rest of what they need to close those out and get final reimbursement. And then staying busy on the zoning side of things with a lot of inquiries, a couple new uses in the township. Probably see a special use permit here. The Planning Commission will at their next meeting for short-term rental, that type of thing. But staying busy and utilizing the home office, obviously. It's been good.
Yeah, if rec committee is not aware, we were sent home last Friday around 1 p.m. All the options. I mean, I know I've already been to the office. I'm sure Ryan has too. You have to go, grab some stuff, or, for instance, my laptop was infected with ransomware. So I'm operating on a very bare bones laptop right now with really not a lot on it, but I'm making it work. And we were told that we may be in this state of remote work into the new year. So it's quite an adjustment. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I have a place in the woods, and it can be a little lonely, quite honestly. I'm thankful that I have the dogs here, but it is a bit of an adjustment, and I did miss the office environment, just getting to see your colleagues and, having that kind of office banter, or not banter, even just the ability to conduct conversations pretty easily, or just go over and say, but we're going to make it work. I think, there is something to be said about the ability to manage your time differently. You don't have the office, the walk-ins or the phone calls. You can kind of prioritize those things, or you can, I know we have a rule of getting back to somebody within 24 hours. That's been something that I've tried to impress upon Ryan as well, as far as customer service goes. So I know we abide by all that. It's just a little bit different. Obviously, it's been a crazy year, and hopefully this last month and a half gets a little bit more normal. But we're prepared. We were told to be prepared to be at home potentially into the spring. So I don't know. Whatever it takes, we'll continue to get our work done and follow up on it.
Well, I think I speak for the whole committee when I say it's amazing how much work you both get done. And it just seems like every time we talk, there's something else in the hopper, and the township's always moving forward. And I just think that the township couldn't have better staff than you and Ryan pushing this down moving things forward for us. And I just want to say
appreciate
thank
you
you.
saying that. There's some things we got to firm up and take care of. There's some, zoning issues out there that we're working on, kind of complex things, but whatever, we'll get through that, and we'll fall through that too.
But it always goes forward. You guys
Well, I
always find a
appreciate
way through
it.
it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why we can't get it done. I will say that thankfully, Marquette Township has volunteers, committee members, board members, planning commission members that have the internet, that have the ability to jump on and do these kind of virtual meetings. There are some more rural communities out there that don't have this, or don't have internet service, for instance. And it makes it very difficult to get things done. So yeah, very grateful that we're in the position that we are, and we can still continue to do business as normal.
Good. Thank you. We don't have any public that have gotten on, no public comment. So we'll open and close public comment for this meeting. Michael, we'll start with you for committee member comment.
I don't have any comment other than a question. Jason, when's the 30-day period up for the Planning Commission to review our text amendments?
Yeah, it'll be the first week of December. I know you asked that, and I forgot to look that up. But I know that we sent that out right at the end of last month, or it was at the very beginning of the month, because obviously they have a meeting. I think it's the second week of. Regardless of, I'm sure the county is going to respond to us by that time, but regardless, the 30-day period would have expired by the time the December 9th planning commission meeting occurs.
Okay,
So it's gonna be.
maybe
one
you could,
red folder. There'll be
yeah,
action
maybe you could
items on
check
the,
with, okay. Maybe you can check with Tara Karlstrom and see if it can be moved forward.
yeah, I don't know. There's usually hasn't been a delay in their correspondence. So I know Ryan wasn't able to attend that meeting because he had another meeting, or he was double booked and he had some responsibility with the township. But yeah, we'll follow up and get back to you.
You check in.
Yeah, I'll check in with Tara in the morning.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Pete, any comments for tonight?
I just got a comment to Mike Springer. Last meeting at the board meeting, I brought up about people riding their bikes at night with no lights on. Mike, is there any funding out there or grants out there to help pay for lighting on bikes and for people's jackets and that at night? Since you're a bike person, so I'm just wondering if you ever see any.
Right.
I don't.
You know, Pete, off the top of my head, I don't know of any funding for that type of stuff. And a lot of those lights, you know, I got a tail light on my bike, costs $200, and that doesn't count the headlight. So, I mean, some of these lights are quite expensive, but then you can get little small things that just are enough to warn people that something's there. So,
I know.
but I don't know.
Right.
I don't know of any funding sources.
At some of the conferences we've been in, grabs coming those little things that you clip on your jacket and it blinks red. So I don't know where they got them or where they got it from, because I'd be interested in purchasing some and giving to some of the kids in the neighborhood. But if you see anything, Mike, let me know.
I'll do that, Pete.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Anything else?
Nope.
David?
No, I'm good. I'm all set.
Okay, I'm also all set. So with that, good luck tonight for the board members. And we earned it 6:23.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I'm gonna jump right off, guys, and get ready for board meeting.
Yep.
Okay.